Are you struggling to dominate games on Football Manager? Does it seem like your 5-star tactic is not working? In this video, I'm going to share with you a secret weapon you can use to completely destroy opponents in Football Manager and win more games. We're going to use the scout report to generate opposition instructions. And I recommend that you do this before every game so you get used to it and it becomes second nature to you while playing the game. And if you miss this step, chances are you might already be at a disadvantage going into the next game because, well, I have a game here against Real Sociedad and we don't want them to use our weaknesses against us, so it's important that we actually go to the scout report of Real Sociedad or Real San Sebastian, however you call it in your game, and we'll see how we can actually go on to tweak our tactics and our opposition instructions to actually give us an edge over Real Sociedad. So in the DataHub screen, you can go over to the next opponent and then you can see the overview screen. That's the first screen that we're going to look at, but all the other screens are next opposition performance, scouting report, analyst report, and then stats back. So starting with the opposition instructions overview, what you will find in this page is the opposition's starting 11 or proposed starting 11 and of course their expected tactic. You can also see what the manager likes to use. He prefers to play wing play, but that's what we're just seeing on the surface. But if you go deep down into the opposition instructions and opposition's scout report, you're going to see that is a lot more than just normal wing play. So in this overview tab, you can also see that the set pieces that Real San Sebastian prefer to use is outswinging deliveries to the central area, and I'm going to show you why this is important much later in the video. You can also see the way they prefer to defend their corners. They prefer to cover the near post rather than the far post, so that's going to actually help us in setting up our set pieces. You can also see some key findings here in the summary. That's why it's called the overview page. It's kind of like a summary of their opposition instructions report. You can see the kind of passes that they have, where their passes are mostly completed. It's actually in central midfield and they complete a lot of their passes, about 36% in the defensive midfield strata of the pitch, kind of like the defensive third, very close to midfield. You can also see here from the passing that they have a lot of passing and accurate passes. You can actually see this in detail when I'm going to get to that. Real San Sebastian are the best passers in the league, but you can see that according to their expected tactic style, they actually have wing play as their expected tactic style. So that shows a kind of confusion that as much as they're exploiting the wings, they are very, very controlling in possession. So you need to pay attention to that and know how you're going to actually try to stop them from playing their passing game. Oh, almost forgot. For set pieces, if the opposition tend to cross the ball to the near post, you need to ask your players to zonally mark the near post. You can ask somebody to mark the near post center, another player mark the near post, and then another player just stay on the central region. You can have all your other players either player mark or go on the edge of the area. If they tend to cross the ball to the far post, remember to ask your defenders to either zonally mark the far post and also zonally mark the far post center. Then you can leave one other defender defending the box center. The same thing happens for attack. If you notice that the opposition tends to defend the near post or the far post, you can ask your players to do the opposite. So if the opposition tends to attack the far post, ask your players to attack the near post and then cross the ball instead of the far post to the near post. That's simple. I'll attach an in-depth guide to set pieces in the description for this video so you can go there and see how I actually go about applying most of this stuff. The next page that we're going to look into is the next opposition's performance page. This goes into depth and you can see the passing, their goal output. You can see that between us, Atletico Madrid were in the top 4 quadrant with the high non-penalty expected goals and strong defending, while Real San Sebastian are in the 3rd quadrant here where there's low non-expected penalty goals or low non-penalty goals. So most of the goals that they score are coming from penalties or set pieces. You can see all other items on the list here. You can see the passing completed and where they kind of complete most of their passes. What I like to do when I see these completed passes being in this defensive midfield region is to try and mark out players in this region. The next item on the list is their scout report, and then looking at the scout report, this actually shows you the strength and the weaknesses of the opposition. So you can see, looking at the analyst report here, you can see strength and weaknesses at this point. You can go ahead and click and you can see that the weaknesses that Real San Sebastian have are not that many. They're weak in flair and defense. You can see that Max Aaron is the only good fullback that they have, so in case he gets injured, they will not have another player to play in that position. But pay attention to this. Most of the goals that they've conceded, 8 of the 25 assists allowed in the last 18 matches have come from through balls. So in case I'm going on to set up my tactic, I know that playing through balls from deeper regions can actually help us get more goals. You can take 2 steps back with the arrow here and then go back to the overview tab. This is you going into in-depth detailing. Really, if you really want to go and unbox the team and see the team that you're playing against, you can see your top players are. Umar Sadiq is actually one of their top players. You can go ahead and select him and see what are his strengths. He's a very fast player. He's currently 30 years of age. He's quick, good aggression, good flair, good finishing, and he's also 6'4". So it means that I can't actually play any small centre back against Umar Sadiq. It's going to actually cause us a lot of problems. And I can't really play a high line against him because he's actually going to have a lot of pace to actually beat our defensive line. So we'll have to actually figure out how we're going to set up against Umar Sadiq. The next page we're going into now is the analyst report in detail, looking at their goal analysis as to how Real San Sebastian tend to concede goals and tend to score goals. You can also look at the formation that they normally use. They prefer to play a 4-2-3-1 wide, but you can go ahead and select the formation analysis and then go and check the formations that they faced in the past. And you can see that they faced a quite good variety of formations. 4-4-2 is in there, 4-3-3 DM wide. This is quite good. They've faced the 4-2-3 DM wide a lot, and this is one of our shapes. But we can go into the clear-cut chances created. This is the column that I like to check. I like to filter this by a number of clear-cut chances created, and I can see that 5-2-2-1 is the formation that Real San Sebastian don't really like playing against. Even though they've played against this formation 6% of the time, they haven't really created that many chances. So it looks like a shape that we can actually go on to use, as opposed to the 4-3-3 DM wide. Even though we can still set up like this, in case I need an alternative, the 5-2-2-2-1 or the 5-2-2-1 system with DMs is actually an option for me to revert to in case this game is not going very well. You can see their goals regions, where they tend to score goals from. You can see what we already gathered in the past, that they tend to concede goals from through balls outside the penalty area. So that we saw that in the summary, but in case you need a lot more depth in detail as to how they do it, you can go ahead and check how they concede goals. But what this also shows you is how they go on to score goals, not just concede. They score by short passing from outside the penalty area, not just through balls this time. So it further confirms their possession-based style of play, even though the DataHub showed us that they're playing wing play. So they are exploiting the flanks, but they're playing short passing and trying to retain possession a lot. Most of the goals that they score come from the penalty area in the center, so it means that they're going to try to walk the ball into the box, into your penalty area, and try to break you down and score goals from there. So defending that box, clogging it up, and having a good number of players in there to actually stop them from playing their passing game could help us immensely in this game. The next part we're going to talk about now is the stats pack, and this kind of compares the teams like head to head. If you're looking at soccer stats and all this kind of stuff, you can see Lautaro Martinez versus Oyarzabal. Oyarzabal has played only one match and scored 1 goal. Lautaro Martinez has scored 3 goals in just the 1 match that he has played. Since we're still early on in the season in 2027, there isn't much data to go in here for us to work with, but as the season progresses, you can go and check your position from here and see how well they're doing against other teams and how well they're doing against teams, teams in the top half, teams in the bottom half, and also when they score first and how they allow goals, how they behave when they go on to concede goals. All this kind of stuff you can find here in the opposition instructions report. So in order for me to pick out players that I want to mark in the opposition, I can go back to the opposition's performance tab and then see who their top players are, their scoring forwards. You can see Umar Sadiq here. It's actually going to compare my players and Real San Sebastian players. So Umar Sadiq is the one threat that is showing from the opposition's team, and we kind of gathered that when we're going through the report that he's one of their top players. You can also see their goalkeeper's behavior. You can see that Jan Oblak is probably one of my best goalkeeper, but Alex Ramiro, which plays for San Sebastian, is poor in shot stopping and saves fewer shots compared to Jan Oblak. You can also look at the passes in the team. You can see passing progression. João Palhinha is actually better than most of my players in stats. Florentino Luis is quite defensive, so he's actually in the mid-third at this point, but accurate passing, João Palhinha and Martin Zubimendi are 2 players that we're going to pay an attention to. Shape, I could go on to twist it and go with the 5-2-2-1 system, but I also have another system here in 3-4-1-2 system or 5-2-1-2 system, and try to start with this system and see how well they can actually go on to break us down. I can do a quick pick to try and make sure my main players are going to be in there. Gonzalo Ignacio, remember to check his height because he's 6'2" and Umar Sadiq is 6'4", so that could be a problem for us. Go on to check Jimenez in this position. Jimenez is 6'1", and then I have Kim Min-jae in here. He is 6'3", so I can leave Kim Min-jae. My weakest link here is Jimenez, which is likely where Umar Sadiq is going to play. I'm going to find somebody else in my back four that could be just as tall enough. I have another player here in 6'2", Antonio Silva, and Josko Vardio. Vardio is 6'1", so I can bring in Ignacio to play in the center as a 6'2". Just drag him in here and then have Josko Vardio play in the left-sided as the left-sided wide center back. So this is the pairing that I can go for to try and combat Umar Sadiq. But this time, instead of going for a much higher defensive line, I'm just going to settle for the higher defensive line to try and stop his running, because he's quite a pacey player as well. So going to the opposition's tab now, you can see, of course, Umar Sadiq is going to be starting for the team. I can go ahead, you can see here he's the top goal scorer for the team. I can go ahead and ask my centre backs to mark him because I have 3 centre backs, so we shouldn't really have a problem staying on Umar Sadiq. Remember, the passing players here are João Palhinha and Zubimendi, so these are players I want to keep tabs on. I like to press the defensive midfielder to try and force him off the ball. I also have an attacking midfielder in Ada Gula. He's going to be the one playing this position here, so I can ask Ada Gula to be the one to try and trigger press the defensive midfielder, while Zubimendi, I can put him on tight marking and then force him to actually, or force the opposition to actually play the ball to somebody else instead of Zubimendi, try and disrupt that passing ring in the center of midfield. Now, the only thing we heard about Max Aarons was that he's the only quality right back that they have. So if you go ahead and trigger press Max Aarons and just show him to normal and then ask him to play the ball to his weak foot, he's only right footed, so I can ask him to show him onto his left foot, forcing him to play the ball to João Palhinha, and then we can obviously trigger press João Palhinha there, but just have a closing down on Max Aarons because he's one of their outlets, he's one of their creative fullbacks. Just try and keep tabs on him. That's kind of how I would go about approaching it. So guys, so far so good. It's currently almost halftime and we're leading Real Sociedad by 1-0. I paused the game here because Lautaro Martinez is injured and I need to actually take him off. It's potential foot injury, but I'm going to show you the stats so far, and I'm going to bring on Javier Exteberia, and then you can just confirm substitutes so we can go on to the match. I'm just pausing the game here again. You can see the stats. I said pause. Okay, it's paused. You can see the stats in here. We have the most shots in the game. We have the most shots on target. We have the higher XG in 1.45. Real San Sebastian has 0.03 XG. They've committed 5 fouls. Okay, we have 8. Pass completed 86%. And then they have completed 93% passes. They have 67% possession. So they are still dominating the ball, but they're not able to actually touch us. They're not able to hurt us in any way, and we're controlling the game even though we're playing out of possession. And my 5-2-1-2 system is currently working against them, except the injury to Lautaro Martinez. I think we will be fine. Also, leave a comment if you have additional questions for how you can apply opposition instructions using the DataHub, using the data that you actually collect. So at this point, it's 61st minute in the game. That's over an hour gone. We have an XG of 3.0, but I don't know how the match is still 1-0. Real Sociedad still have 69% possession and they have only 0.19 XG. So it means whatever we're doing, whatever we did in the DataHub to apply these opposition instructions, they are quite working against Real Sociedad here. So Rasmus Højlund is tired and I've decided to bring on another player. I think I'm going to play Joselu as a striker. I brought him on for Rasmus Højlund. Exteberia can play on the right hand side, and then Ada Gula can play on the left hand side. I hope this doesn't actually disrupt what we're doing as a team. Okay, let me just try Joselu. Joselu prefers to play on the left, so I'm going to have him in there. And Ada Gula can play on the right hand side, play as an advanced playmaker on support DT, playing on the right. Exeberia, advanced playmaker, and then Joselu. I think Joselu is a right-sided player, so I can play him as an inside forward. That should still allow. Oh, I just noticed that we got a goal, so that's 2-0. So well done there. I need to actually figure out who scored for us. Confirm this. Patterson was incredible with the craft. Let's see how that goal actually turned out. We have Florentino Luis in here out to Patterson. Oh, he knocked the ball forward. Tried to whip a cross in there, and then Rasmus Højlund, just before I subbed him off, by the way, he went on to get the winning game of the goal, because I'm going to just agree that that is going to be the winning game. Make tactical changes, yes of course, and we can settle for a different shape now, and hopefully we're not going to throw this game away. I think we're quite settled the way we are, so we should be fine. We're completely dominating against Real Sociedad, and I know this video should have ended a long time ago, but there we go. I just have to embrace the dominance that we're doing here, and this is how you can actually get an edge over the opposition. If you go ahead and study their scout report, look for who their key players are and see how you can actually start them. Hold on, Umar Sadiq. Okay, nothing happened. So there's a corner for Real Sociedad. Oyarzabal has the ball. I'm quite nervous. I think we're going to, okay, out to Jose Gaya. Oh, there's a lot of space for a counter attack. So Gaya has the ball out to Exteberia. Out to Joselu. Joselu is on the wing. Moises Caicedo makes it goal number 3. Oh my goodness, that's just fantastic to watch. That's a lightning fast counter attack. I need to see this in 3D. Jose Gaya has possession out to Exteberia. So actually playing a wide formation helped us confuse the opposition. Through ball from Joselu out to Moises Caicedo. Back of the net. Back of the net. I said I was going to end the video at 70 minutes, but I noticed that my team isn't done yet, so I don't think the video is done right now. We still have to just keep going. So that should be it. 3-0, complete victory against Real Sociedad. And that is the benefit of actually applying opposition instructions from the scout report. You can actually go on to dominate the opposition and then do it in a masterful way. And you can see the stats in here: 27 shots, 16 on target, 3.76 xg. So we actually did go on to match our xg of 3.7. So we did go on to score 3 goals. Most corners, fouls, we could have conceded more, to be honest, but notice that we had possession of 31% and then Real Sociedad had 69% possession throughout the entire game, and that didn't amount to anything. They scored no goals, they had only 6 shots, 2 of them were on target, and an XG of 0.38. So go on and apply opposition instructions, study the scout report, and then try to use that to figure out how you can stop your opposition at source, and then it's going to help you get a lot of better results in Football Manager 2024. I'll see you in the next video. Do enjoy your Football Manager.